Hi there, I'm Mandy Yarkich from Creative Matters, and you're listening to Creative Matters on Air, where I have conversations with new and established artists from around New Zealand. I love to listen to artists' stories and learn about their creative process, and maybe you do too, which is why I've made this podcast, to inspire, inform and educate. I hope you can take away something positive and encouraging from each of these amazing stories to help you on your own creative journey. Hi there and welcome to Creative Matters episode 34. Today I'm talking to Rosemary Eagles. Rosemary is an established contemporary New Zealand artist inspired by a deep appreciation of nature and the beauty of Aotearoa New Zealand. Rosemary's abstract and realistic paintings capture vibrant impressions of native trees, plants and flowers, and strata land formations, with an unrestrained use of texture and colour, depicting her expressions of these different environments and the things within them, discovered on her walks and travels around New Zealand. Many of Rosemary's recent works depict mānuka trees in Tāwharanui, where rolling land meets the sea. This regional park is a treasured place for Rosemary, and the mānuka trees are a special source of inspiration. From the simplest form of a single flower bud, says Rosemary, through to the wonderful rock formations on our coastal beaches, bursting Harakeke Flax flowers with chocolate brown pods, to the wild and free-flowing Toi Toi on our west coast beaches. Just stopping and taking another look opens up endless, fresh painting inspirations. Hello, Rosemary.
Hi, Mandy.
So nice to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. It's been a while getting the connection together with lots of attempts, but not quite getting there, and now we've made it.
Yeah, we finally
COVID.
made it. So, yeah, COVID has definitely interrupted our flow, but here we are.
Yeah.
So, welcome to Creative Matters.
Thank you.
And, I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. So, shall we start right at the beginning? And can you tell us where you were born and what kind of childhood you had and what sort of child you were?
All right. Rightio. Well, I was born in Wellington, and our family came up to Auckland when I was about 13. I've got 3 sisters. I would probably consider myself to be the most creative out of the 3 sisters. I'm the middle sister. And just, I guess I had a really normal New Zealand Kiwi upbringing.
Yeah.
Lots of family holidays, camping, caravanning around New Zealand. Just a good solid Kiwi upbringing.
And what were your parents like?
Well, from a creative point of view, I wouldn't say my parents were creative people. They always believed in my creativity, which is really good. They always thought that maybe I was one of those kids that if I, with my high schooling, if I spent more time on my other subjects other than art, but the other subjects might have got better grades. I seem to focus a lot on the arts. So.
Yeah. And were you one of those kids who was always making and creating? And
Always making and creating.
Yeah. And what kind of stuff?
When I said I would say that I would come along and talk about myself and my art practice, it really got me thinking about my creative journey right from the age of about 8. I remember things like getting a bowl, filling it with sand and going to the beach and making a sand garden. I remember probably one of my biggest memories is going to Mount Maunganui Beach and collecting shells at the base of the mountain, and my mother would buy their wooden boxes and I would glue all the beautiful shells onto the box and varnish them. And I'm not quite sure how many jewellery boxes I made, and I remember that really clearly. I think it's because that stayed with me in my bedroom for years and years. So I was always sort of gathering and collecting bits and pieces and sticking them on things.
And you're obviously, even at that early age, thinking creatively and noticing things.
Yeah, but credit to my family, well, particularly my mother, she was one that went out and bought the wooden boxes and gave me the project to do. So, yes.
That's nice to feel supported. Hey?
And then when I sort of got into my high school years, I got really carried away with macrame hangings for pots, and I would, with jute and big wooden beads, big colourful wooden beads. I guess that was a 70s thing.
And it's all come back now, hasn't it?
Yes, it's all come back now, and I probably could make some more of them, but don't have the time. But I spent hours making macrame pot hangers and selling them. So always sort of working with my hands, quite tactile. Yes, that's probably, yes, I was creative as a child, and I'd always be drawing and things like that too.
Yeah, it's very cool. And in high school, how did you go with art? Were you obviously taking the art subjects?
I definitely took all the art subjects. I did really well at art. I feel as though probably that definitely was my strength. Yeah.
And how did you find art, being such a creative soul, how did you find that sort of more formal approach to art through high school?
I guess I didn't know any different. They would set you a project or a task, or it wasn't until probably sixth form that you could get a little bit more creative on what you wanted to do, and you could extend on a subject. So I guess that's the journey of learning how to work through a process. And that's what they teach you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and you and I went to the same high school. We say girls' high school.
Well, we were just discussing that, and
it's so funny.
Both my sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister, Jane and Claire.
Yeah, and I know Claire. I know Claire from high school. I remember, and we were just talking about this. And Jane and I are friends, so. We are connected.
So how did you find out about me? What made you approach me to talk on this
I think
podcast?
that Jane, your sister, did recommend that I talk to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is nice. But I've been familiar with your work through Art by the Sea. So I was quite intrigued to meet you and hear all about your practice. So, yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah,
here we go.
Finally. Okay, so through high school, you obviously, did well with your art subjects. And then where did you go from there?
So after high school, I guess I wavered a little bit. I didn't have a lot of direction, and I felt as though I didn't feel as though being creative was actually going to set me on the right path. So I ended up working in advertising and marketing for local newspapers, The Star and the North Shore Times Advertiser, years ago. And that's when then I went off travelling overseas for 2 or 3 years. And when I came back, I worked for the Auckland Star, and that's when I started saving up to put myself through art school. So that was when I was about 25. I went to Whitecliffe School of Art and Design.
So over that time, excuse me, between high school and going to study, were you actually continuing to make, or were you starting to develop some sort of practice of your own?
Probably not. I was partying.
Yeah.
I was having a really good social time. So I think probably my art was on the back burner at that period of my life. Yeah. I don't think I really realised how much I needed art.
You needed to party more.
I think I needed to party more. Yeah, I was quite social. So I think, and I was flatting with my friends and just hadn't really sort of found that part of me. Or it hadn't returned to me.
Which is really common, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes a while to sort of find it again.
Yeah. And what made you decide that you wanted to study art?
I'm actually not quite sure. There just must have been something that was sort of innate in me that realised I wanted to be creative again. And I guess I just followed that feeling I had.
And did you actually at that time think you could make that into a career?
No. absolutely not. I guess it could have if I went and worked for a company that did something creative. But I guess I always thought I wanted to work for myself somehow, and I couldn't really see how. And I feel as I never really had any guidance as to how that could work out in the real world. So no, not really. I feel as though I think I almost stumbled across things as they evolved.
It's often the way at that age, especially. Yeah. And so, and I think that's very common for people who go to study art. They're not necessarily sure that they're going to make a career out of it. And sometimes, especially with our age group, the parents aren't necessarily
engaged. Well, they are engaged. You know, they want the best for you, but I don't think my parents kind of gave me direction and said, go and do that. Or this is a good idea for you. Or why don't you think about that?
And I think that generation of parents were a little bit unsure or sort of a little bit nervous about their children heading down that kind of direction in some ways. Yeah.
I'm sure that kind of still is the case in so many families.
Unfortunately, yeah, you're probably right. So how did you go at Whitecliff? What were you studying?
Well, I studied interior design, and that led me on to my first job, which was working for a company called Gilbert Parry. They were a Wellington-based company, and we imported textiles from India and America. And so I became involved in buying of fabric and selling fabric to interior designers. So that was the path that my interior design took me down. And then I started getting involved in the buying trips to India and buying rugs and durries and choosing product. And then, then when it came back into New Zealand, I would sell it throughout the country. So that was my role, and I did that for about 4 years.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
And did your own personal art, start developing through that Whitecliff time?
Yes, it did. I started doing a little bit of painting at home, and because I was working full time, so it was only painting at home, maybe in the evenings, or doing workshops.
That's so good.
So I've always been really aware of keeping education going in the way of sort of going to a workshop, or I've just actually done a ceramics pottery bowl making course. So I'm always sort of tapping into different creative things now.
Yeah.
I think that's good because it just keeps you, I think the interaction with other artists is really good, and seeing the diversity of what's out there.
For sure. Yeah. And also just kind of going down a bit of a different path can sort of reignite lots of different things within your practice, I find.
Oh, of course. And people, I always say to people, if you put if you had 10 people in a painting class and you put them all together, all with the same subject, they would all come out with a totally different painting. So it's really refreshing to see how other people paint things, or how they interpret the subject, or So I like furthering my education on things like that.
Yeah. And so after your interior design, what happened then?
Well, I worked for Gilbert Parry, as I said, and then I went travelling again overseas and came back, and that's when I came back actually pregnant with our first child, Olivia. So my partner Daniel and I, we have 3 children, and once I guess when I went overseas, I never really worked again for anybody else. So I haven't worked for anybody else ever since, for 30 years.
Which is so good.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether I could ever work for anybody else. I might be able to one day a week, but I definitely like my own control over when I do things.
And how did you find the juggle between, excuse me, being creative and raising children?
That was all right. That was right. I used to, when the kids were really young, I would put them to bed and I would paint at night for hours, get them to bed 6 o'clock, and then I would be away painting or finding little snippets during the day of time that I could sort of get a couple of hours in. So it sort of built up. It built up over 5 years.
Mm.
And then the third child, Luke, he went to daycare. So I definitely got more time in painting then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be a good way to start a practice as a mum. It can be.
Definitely, because I think because you feel as though, already your time's so split, and it is a time where you sort of think, well, you're a little bit more housebound and you are on a tighter schedule. And so you sort of, I think you just become really efficient as a mother and finding those little spots to fit it in.
Yeah. And, for me personally, I definitely felt like I needed something of my own or something for myself to feed myself as well as being a mum. So that was kind of my opportunity, I guess, to start my own practice really at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it can be good, but it's also hard. It's never easy.
Yeah, well, there's pros and cons, but I think it's easier working for yourself than somebody else.
Yeah, most definitely. I couldn't go back. No way.
Yeah.
So how did your painting, what did your painting look like at that time and how has it evolved?
Okay, well, my first painting, I've still got the first painting. It's of I went to an oil painting class at night school at Westlake Boys. It's an 8-week evening course, and I created a large sunflower painting, and it sits in our house. And that, once the oil paints, I was just totally in love with oil painting. The glazing, the texture of it, just that's what kicked me off with the oil painting, because I hadn't done any oil painting until then. So I just started from there, and I just painted and painted and painted, and the glazes with the oils and the way you could move the oil around the canvas, and just the freedom of oils. And, if you made a mistake, you could kind of rub it off with a cloth. And so I really got into rubbing things away and letting them dry and then sanding them off. And
what was your theme, or what was inspiring you at that time?
Nature, definitely nature.
Always been nature.
It's always been nature. And I think it's because I spent so much time in my childhood being in nature. And even now, I'm part of a tramping group, and we tramp twice a year, and I'm always in my garden. I'm always out, planting or buying. I love form of nature also. Everything's very New Zealand.
Yeah. And that's interesting, isn't it? That right from the beginning you started
right from the
there.
beginning.
And have you ever kind of deviated from that?
Not really, but it's a big subject. I've got a lot more to cover yet.
Yeah.
It's not finished by any means. In fact, just this week I was thinking I might start doing some landscape paintings again, which I haven't done for quite a while. I guess in my practice, I will always be, so if you look back on my website, you'll always see each year a complete change in style. Although it's nature, there's always a completely new subject. And for me, that's how I grow, by learning every time I have an exhibition. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that on your website.
Yeah.
You can see
so
that
this
progression.
last exhibition, I've got a lot of the big monstera leaves and things like that. Now, that's something that I did photography of about 3 years ago, and because I do a lot of photography before I paint, and I just sort of sit on the images, and then suddenly I get a connection and I'm away. And so a lot of this last exhibition was of the monstera leaves, and also actually of Tāwharanui campground and all around that area in the peninsula. Yeah, where I have spent more holidays. Usually holidays when I get my camera out.
That inspires you for the next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which is so great. And why do you think you went into the monstera, looking at just one particular plant?
Oh, the form. The form is just wonderful. I love the form of it. I love the holes in the leaves where the light comes through, or the size of them, they're just beautiful plants. They are
so
really,
beautiful.
really beautiful.
Yeah, we've got a huge one.
I saw that down the driveway. They look great in a vase.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Or,
They last
or underneath
so long.
a cheese platter.
Yeah, they're beautiful plants.
Yeah. I often put leaves under food platters.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
And the one that we've got, I mean, it's probably 30 years old.
That looks really old.
It's huge, and it's climbing a tree as well.
And the seed pods are quite beautiful.
Yeah, they're really beautiful. So just for the people who haven't seen your work, and obviously you can see your work on the blog on our website, we've got a range of your work, some quite older pieces and more current work. But can you just describe, obviously, it's New Zealand native flora that I always have to think, is it flora or fauna? Flora that really inspires you, and that's generally what you work on.
Yeah.
But can you just kind of describe your work? Obviously, it's abstract generally.
So when I first started painting, I was more realist, and as I sort of got more involved in my art, I started freeing up more and becoming more abstract. And so in the last few years, I've actually got to the stage where I realized that painting with oil was too slow for the speed I wanted to work at. And so I bought meterage of linen. I like to work on linen. I'll come back to that, why I like to work on linen in a minute. Painting on the floor and putting the whole piece of linen out, sort of maybe 2 meters by 1.5 meters, I guess the width of a fabric roll, and actually getting the acrylic and being really creative with it and using squeegees and really big arm movements and really expressive art and using a lot of colour and sort of boundless work. And working on the floor meant that when I was using the squeegee can go right off the side of the linen because, I mean, there was lino down, so I didn't make too much of a mess. But it meant you weren't sort of restrained by the outside of the piece of fabric.
And do you have it framed, that linen?
Yeah, so two things. So the idea was to just get little stainless steel tacks and tack it up so it's not on a stretched, structured, formal stretcher. It would be sort of free hanging. And then after that, I started wanting, because the art became quite modern and contemporary. So I sort of thought, right, well, I need to I feel as though just sort of draping it on the wall or whatever, or tacking it up to the wall wasn't always working. So that's when I decided to put it onto aluminium panels. And the aluminium panels, I had to get the aluminium panels cut to size, prepare them with different surfaces, and then glue the linen onto the aluminium, and then get my partner Daniel to make a frame that sat on the back of the work. But the problem it looks amazing, terribly labour intensive. Yeah. Terribly labour intensive.
I've never actually heard of that.
It's like I would be exhausted after gluing because you have to get the rollers out because you can't have any bubbles. And there's a lot of unknowns that you're scared it's going to lift off the aluminium. But actually I haven't had any problems.
So do you have to sand the aluminium back?
Well, you have to sand the aluminium back. Then you have to put a sealer on it, a non-porous sealer. And then you have to get a special glue that glues the aluminium and the linen. And then you have to roll it on. And you have to just really hope you've got it on right. And when you're working with really large pieces, maybe 1 meter by 1.5 meters, it's actually quite a physical journey.
Yeah.
So the beauty of the aluminium was with the frame glued onto the back, it sort of ended up being cantilevered off the wall. So it gave a very minimalist look, very modern and contemporary, and it looks great.
Yeah.
So it would be off the wall by about 3 centimetres. Looks great, just really labour intensive. Yeah. Of late, I have moved away from that.
So the frame, just carrying on with that a little bit.
So there's no frame on it.
Is there a little, like a frame that goes onto the wall behind the aluminium to hold
like
it?
like a box that's sort of attached to the back
And
of
you
the
can't see
aluminium.
that from the front.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
And that's in the middle of the picture, so that
Yeah.
you definitely can't see it from the side either.
Yeah, I
'cause you
love
can't
the
get your
sound
head
of
right
that.
around. It's really cool.
Do you actually paint on your linen and then put it onto the aluminium?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't, and it doesn't damage your work by,
Rolling it.
and smoothing it.
No.
Amazing.
But you'd working with acrylic, I think that works better. If you were working with oil, because oil can take 6 months to dry, I'm not sure whether I would do it with oil.
And have you ever thought of actually putting the linen on the aluminium, then painting?
I've done that too.
And how does that work for you?
Well, sometimes I paint a painting and then I glue it on the aluminium, and I think, actually, you know what? I'm now going to change it. And so then you can change it when it's on the... But I think starting off, it's always good to be really expressive and not have those restraints of borders.
Totally.
So I love doing that. So then I clawed back from doing that because I was up and down off the ground and my knees were hurting. And I sort of, this is just really, really hard work. And I've gone back to... which is where I began. I've clawed back a little bit in size for work. Maybe I might go 1 metre by 1 metre square now, or 1.20 metre square. And I get my frames made from Studio Art Supplies in Cromer Street, Ponsonby.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean stretches me linen on top of my stretchers, not canvas. I like linen because it's got a natural slub. And it's a far more interesting surface to work with rather than just a formalised canvas.
Yeah. I've just with my thread paintings, I've been using linen and painting
it's so
on
nice.
those with my embroidery, and it's actually beautiful.
Linen is beautiful. It's probably just a lot more expensive to use. But once you've swapped over to linen, I just don't think I can ever buy a canvas anymore.
It feels very different to paint on, doesn't it?
It's just got a beautiful, sort of slub. And I think the reason I do enjoy that, because I've been in the textile industry.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to beautiful fabrics.
That's right.
So it's sort of your journey. Maybe if I hadn't have worked with textiles and appreciated beautiful linens and natural cottons, I might not have found the linen canvas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, I think all of those things inform, what you end up doing.
Yeah, they do.
And
they do.
Do you think your work would look different if it was on a canvas?
I'm well, I think it would just look more ordinary.
Do you feel like you get a sense of the linen in a painting?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. It has got a lovely texture.
Yeah. I think with the oils, it's even more beautiful, which is why in the last, probably in the last 6 months, I've revisited oils. So I'm now working oils and acrylics.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We were just saying before the podcast that, often people start with acrylics and then kind of move on to oils and never go back.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you've started with oils, came to acrylics.
But I think there was a
oils.
speed thing, because with my work, I had these blocks of time and I just wanted to get more done. And acrylic paintings acrylic paints have come so far. With then they do look almost like oil paint.
Yeah, and they're still beautiful to use.
Yeah. The only thing about acrylics, you don't get those beautiful glazes that you get with oil. So I just think, as long as I don't mix my brushes up, because you can't do that, and you can't paint oil and then put acrylic on top. You've always got to start with acrylic and then put oil on top. Otherwise, it will peel off.
So
I've been there.
Are you starting to use both types of paint in one painting?
Sometimes I might start with the basic painting acrylic, because I want to get work quite quickly and get the feel of it, and then I move on to oil.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I've never tried that.
Yeah,
should have a go, really, shouldn't I?
I think it's really important as an artist just to keep experimenting with different ways of presenting your work, in different sizes. Different sizes.
Yeah.
I've never really painted anything too small.
You like that sort of bigger gestural
and the freedom.
movement.
The freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, continuing to kind of upskill and try different mediums and different tools is really good, because it can inform your practice in a way that you never expected often.
Yeah. And also I think when you paint, not to have a lot of my work, I don't have a if I'm doing an abstract piece, I just flow with it. I don't go into the studio and think, this is what I'm going to achieve today. This is how it's going to look. I'm just going to enjoy this process and just see where this takes me.
And so,
at the end of the day, if it's no good, I can go over it the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
Or another thing I love to do is paint something, and then if I'm not happy with it completely, but there's a little pocket in there that I sort of think, oh gosh, I really love that. I pull that bit of old painting through to my new painting. So and to me, it's almost like sometimes a mistake can end up being something that's so special, or some little bit of detail in your painting that turns out to be something really special. Just a special little part.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, you don't have to, if you make a mistake or you're not happy, you don't have to take it all away. Yeah, I think that's a really good tip to give people.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the lovely thing about abstract painting. It's quite experimental, and things happen without you intending them to happen, and it takes you down a whole new journey. Yeah, that's what I love about it. Yeah.
And not also putting time frames on a painting. Some paintings might take me 15 hours and I love it. Another painting can take me 45 hours and I'm still not happy with it.
It's interesting.
So,
So when you are working on something that's abstract, it'd be really interesting to kind of dive a bit deeper into your process. Do you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to just make an abstract work with these kind of colours and see what happens? Or are you thinking, I'm kind of heading towards a landscape, or I have been inspired by my time at Tāwharanui, or, how do you actually begin that process?
I always have a throwback to some photography I've done. It could be a colourway. It could be the feeling I get from a place I've visited. It could be the form of something I've seen, which I think just without even realising it, you sort of, there's always a connection back to nature. So I couldn't just sort of, if someone gave me 5 colours and said, just go for it, I would definitely be blending and mixing colours to get a certain colour theme going, or something that felt good. Yeah.
And then often with that abstract work, it becomes quite, it has a real reference to land or
absolutely,
nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every single painting is like that.
So is it just that sort of aspect of horizon, or what makes you feel like there's that connection with a landscape?
Well, it would be photography. So in the weekend I did some more photography of clouds and very hazy horizons. So all those colour schemes, all the colours in that will come into my next painting, which I'm going to start this week, which is a big painting.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And can you talk us through how you would actually manage that? What is your process from beginning to end?
I usually start off with charcoal on my work when I get my basic sort of composition right, and usually get a good coat down of paint that often will change completely, but I always like to get rid of the white canvas, especially when it's really big.
And is that colour sort of related to what you're working on, or do you have a favourite colour to start with?
That colour will definitely come through in the painting.
Yeah.
It just might not be the main colour. It just might come through from the background somewhere.
And how do you choose which colour?
It just feels right. It just says something to you.
And so what happens after the underpainting?
Okay, so we might do that in acrylic, or I might do it in oil, probably acrylic. And then I just, I guess I just start, and then I will probably do a couple of hours, and then I'll put it up on the wall, and I keep looking at it, and I'll probably go off and do something else, and then might even come back 3 days later and think, that's what I need to do next. And it's just a process that you can't put a time. I can't go in there and think, right, I'm just going to get this sorted today. Just keep going back at it, little bits at a time, getting rid of things I don't like, pulling old things through. Just.
And what kind of tools do you use?
Well, I've got quite a diverse range of brushes and very big squeegees that could be sort of probably about 40 centimetres long, big rubber squeegees, so I can sort of squirt the paint onto the squeegees and then I just run it across the work. I've got a wide range of little sort of spatula brushes that are rubber also. I've got big brushes, really big fat brushes that would be the size of almost a tennis ball. Brushes are actually really, really expensive. So they're sort of like when you shout yourself a brush, it's quite exciting. And rags, sort of getting in with rags and rubbing things off, and it's about experimenting really.
And do you do that with acrylic as well, or just with the oil?
Yeah, I do. You can actually buy mediums that go into acrylic that give you an extra few hours of flexibility with the paint before it dries. So, yeah, definitely. And if it's thick enough, you can really get in there and scratch it away and move it around. But, you do need to use quite a bit of paint.
Yeah.
And I do love going into art shops and thinking, I'll just go in for one tube. And I've come out with sort of 6 tubes and can't wait to play with those colours.
Yeah.
I do get very excited about painting colours and blending in colours and never really using colours that are in the tube, but putting other colours with them and just getting colours that are a little bit different.
And do you ever use a colour palette like in on the side, or do you do most of your blending on the linen?
Both. And some of it's just I put it onto the tool I'm using. Like if I was using that squeegee, I might put sort of like a cerise pink down and some white and a grey, and then when I put it on the canvas it blends through.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So just
I love
just
watching
being
that kind of
rich
thing.
and expressive.
Not
unlike sort of Jackson Pollock. He used to sort of slap that paint around and
and also I think Judy Miller, New Zealand artist.
Yeah, Judy Miller. So she uses the same or I use the same squeegees as her, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have looked at her work a lot over the years.
It's really beautiful, and I think one of my
she's done
favorite
some huge sculptures.
She does massive works, but I love watching YouTube videos of artists working.
I know.
I just find, it just gives you so much more appreciation for the work when you've seen their process. It's fascinating. And Gretchen Albright with her big sponges, I think it's sponges or big brushes on long sticks. And she works on the floor as well and really big often. And it's fascinating to watch.
I know. It's great. It's good fun.
I love it. And I went to a course with Richard Adams at Brown School of Art in January.
Okay.
And he has this amazing outdoor studio, which is, he uses the fence behind him to get the paint off his brushes.
Does he?
Yeah.
Sort of slaps him on the fence.
Yeah, which is really cool. And the fence is like this beautiful artwork in itself. And it's just inspired me, while I'm building my own studio in the garden to have like a big workbench outside, which I can just go really big with really big tools, lots of paint.
I think that's a good idea. I just think you have to be careful of like leaves and bugs and things like that and dust that actually you think they're not out there, but they are out there, those bugs.
And Muriwai, definitely there's lots of bugs. But so maybe that will add to the artwork.
Yeah. Actually, during the first lockdown in COVID, I set myself up under our big umbrella outside, and it was beautiful sitting out there in the garden painting. Yeah.
And do you ever do any sort of plein air work where you're sitting with an easel?
No, I would take the photographs.
Yeah. And so your move into abstract from more realistic works, do you think that you'll start peppering in some more realistic work?
Yeah. So the last exhibition, if you look at, just jumping back to the Tāwharanui Peninsula work, a lot of it is abstract, but I have linked it a little bit more closely to putting a little bit of realism in there with the mānuka trees, and it's kind of clawed it back a little bit from being quite so abstract. And I think I will keep heading maybe a little bit more realistically again. It just depends. If I wake up one morning and I think, oh my God, I just really want to be expressive, out comes the roll of fabric on the floor or the linen. If I don't really feel like painting, but I feel as though I've got to use my time, I might paint edges of my canvases. There's always something to do for whatever mood you wake up in. Sometimes I just feel like sitting really quietly and just doing detailed work. So, my last exhibition, I definitely clawed back a bit and became a little more like abstract expressionism, really. So my last exhibition was my 20 years of painting.
Really?
And being at Art by the Sea.
Wow, so you've been with them for that long.
For 20 years.
Art by the Sea is a beautiful gallery
in
Devonport.
A beautiful gallery, and Mike and Linda are the most wonderful, wonderful, supportive people, and very, very passionate. And
how amazing that you've been with them for so long.
Yeah, well, they've owned the business, I think it's about 15 years, and before that there was a lady in Devonport. But anyhow, they've now come to Takapuna. I don't know whether you know that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So they have got a wonderful location now. They're right on the corner of Lake Road, down by the Bruce Mason Theatre. And so if you're coming up from the wharf end at the northern end of Takapuna Beach, you would walk straight into the front doors.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Beautiful window space.
Nice.
So many people walking past. The gallery is sort of lovely, modern and contemporary, and it's a beautiful space for me to be in. I'm feeling quite smug about it.
You've just gone with them.
I think it's just the best gallery in Auckland.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? It's lasted so long too. It's amazing.
Oh, but that's because Art by the Sea, I think they're just so passionate about art and artists and the artist's journey. Yeah.
And so how did you, we're kind of skipping around.
I know, we are jumping all over the place. I'm sorry.
All right.
I have so much to say.
I bet you do.
Who would have thought?
Well, let's go. We'll talk a bit about the gallery and your more commercial side of your business soon.
Okay.
So can we go back to your art? So obviously you've said, you're responding to Tāwharanui in particular. So why is that place so important to you?
Well, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's got to be the most beautiful landscape in that peninsula and the beaches. And I guess every time I go there, it's about relaxing and holidays and fun times.
And family.
Yeah. And family.
And that's
north our family have been there with us. They'll come with us if we go out for the day and take a picnic. It's just got a beautiful feeling about it. And a lot of walks on that peninsula as well.
Yeah, it's
There's
beautiful.
Kiwi there.
And that's that's like 45 or an hour from Auckland.
Yeah.
North. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. And it's a marine
not even
reserve.
that far. Oh, it's probably an hour and a quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I do gravitate a lot to the ocean and the beach, and we've got a batch at Taira, and got beautiful, we've got a beautiful bird reserve behind us with beautiful grasses and putakawa trees and things like that. So I'm very much a beachy type outdoor person, and that's where I get my energy from.
Yeah, and
it's
you can see
definitely
that
where I
in
get
your
my
work.
energy from.
Yeah. And you have I know you've done a few commissions for somebody which was flowers.
Yeah.
So you have kind of gone down that more realistic route with flowers.
Yeah.
And with other sort of individual plants as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you're still interested in pursuing, that kind of work?
Well, I did an awful lot of commissions, but because commissions, there's a lot more pressure with commissions, to be honest. And I think whatever you can never, if somebody's seen a piece of your work and they love it, it's never unless they buy that piece, the next piece is never, ever, ever going to be the same, but it will just have its own point of difference. So I like to do commissions, but they do make me a little bit nervous because people don't know quite exactly what they're getting.
Yeah.
So I think they have to look at my website and be really clear about my styles and give me a really good brief, and then we're fine.
And what would happen if somebody gave you a photo of a place that means something to them that you're not familiar with? Could you ever kind of respond to somebody else's inspiration?
Yes, yeah, definitely. However, if it had something like a boat in it, or you know what I mean, I would turn it away if I felt as though I'd rather turn it away than accept that commission, or maybe recommend a different artist.
Yeah,
but
it's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is a tricky one because people put a lot of faith in you. So,
and do you find sometimes with commission work that you're losing a little bit of your own self, or do you still just paint in the way that you want to respond to whatever their inspiration is, and then you take it to your own place, and then they can decide if they like it?
Well, I'm sure you must, and I'm sure I do. Yeah, I think you probably do, but you sort of block that out. You have to sort of park it.
It's tricky. I mean, I think we've talked about it before with other guests on the podcast, but just that idea of being so focused on the final product, I think is hard for me because I'm more sort of experimental, so it's very hard to have an end product in mind to work towards for me.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm probably the same.
Yeah.
I have I've just sent 2 paintings down to Nelson that I'm really happy with. They felt really good to paint, but that's because they were things I wanted to paint, and I would have painted more work like that anyhow, probably. So, yeah. I did do one painting of White Island, that was really challenging for me, but he was happy with it. So I think you can just get really caught up with the emotional side of it if you're not careful. Just need to relax about it.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful painting, the White Island.
Yeah, well, it's not quite like that now.
No.
It's a bit covered in ash.
Yeah. And
so maybe it's great that he got that painting.
Exactly. I mean, it makes it even more
special,
meaningful.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, which is lovely in a way. Yeah. And I guess people who want a commission, they've got their own connections to something that they want you to capture, which is kind of nice as well. Yeah. So did you want to say anything else about your practice or your process?
Well, I paint in a studio collective, which is in Mount Eden. That's at the top of Mount Eden Road. It's called number 8 Space. And it's a really good studio space. I like to paint. I guess for years I painted at home, and it was about 6 years ago that I thought, actually, you know what? I just need to be getting out more. And so that's when I did some research and I found this collective. And it's a wonderful space, and it's light, it's bright, and I can go there 24/7. It's only 5 minutes from my home.
Wow!
So I've been there for 6 years, and that's been fantastic because I can be messy there too, whereas I can't be quite so messy at home.
Yeah, that's so good.
And so when we were in lockdown, I painted from home, and I actually quite enjoyed that because I hadn't done it for quite a while. So now I'm sort of thinking that. I'm going to have 2 studios. Because I've got a spare bedroom at home, maybe paint, it's a big room, and I think I might set that up and also have my studio. So, because sometimes by the time you get to the studio, even though it's only a 5-minute drive, just settling into the new environment to paint in, it's almost like it takes me 45 minutes before I'm actually up and running and in that zone, whereas at home I can probably just whoop down the hallway and I can be there a lot quicker if I've got shorter time, shorter time frame.
Yeah.
So that's in my practice. I think I'm going to do more of that, and I might even do more oil painting at home and keep my more expressive work for the studio. So that's a little bit about my practice.
That's exciting. And just on that shared space, How do you find working with other artists nearby?
Well, the space I have would be about 4 metres by 3 metres, and it's partitioned off. So no two artists are the same. It's really interesting. Like, so backing onto me, there's a jeweler, and then I have a portrait artist over the other side of the room. So every artist is quite unique. It's really good, actually, to be honest. It's really good because, once again, it taps you into what other people are doing. I've made some really good friends there.
Yeah, I think it'd be amazing. I'd love that.
And we sit down, have a coffee, and we talk about. We don't just talk about art. That we've become really good friends, and then we do discuss art too. And we say, well, why don't you try doing this? Or, why don't you just get rid of that completely? Like we just start again, or, don't, it's just really good interaction.
It would be. I think it'd be amazing.
So that's been wonderful for me.
So good that you found somewhere so close.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That's brilliant. And so what does your week look like from Monday to Friday?
So I usually paint on a Thursday and a Friday. I keep those days completely free. And on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, I run my business called Artworks for Kids, which you know about. So I can tell you a little bit about that if you'd like. Seen you in that industry yourself.
Yeah, I might get some tips.
You might get some tips and I might get some from you. I have been looking at your art projects thinking you do some really cool ideas.
Thank you.
Really cool ideas. So I started up Artworks for Kids 10 years ago, and the reason I started it out, a little bit of background to that, when my children were at primary school, I always felt as though that art was always sort of like done in the last sort of section of the day. If too much was on, art would sort of get cancelled. I always felt as though it was never given the space that it deserves in the school curriculum, and it was always sort of shunted into little time frames. And the school my children were at used to do art auctions and things like that, and all the children would paint a piece of art, and then they would do a collaborative piece in the classroom. And I started going in and helping the different classrooms with that, because teachers just sort of put their hands up in despair. How am I going to do all these canvases and get this all done for the art auction? Anyhow, I got involved with that, and I got involved with the art auction, and I was always under the impression from the principal at the time that he was going to put some of the money that was raised from the art auction back into an art room facility at the school, and it ended up going on iPads, and it didn't quite go to where it originally they said it would go, the money.
It's a shame.
So I was pretty upset about that, and so that's when I sort of thought, actually, you know what? I'm going to ask if I can just rent a room at the school and start my art classes up. And I started, and I run 3 classes after school on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. They're 2-hour sessions, and the kids just come straight down from school and just bring their afternoon tea. I've got it all set up ready to go, and
Wonderful.
we create, and it's just gone from strength to strength.
I bet.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And people say, well, I do holiday programs, and would I do more classes a week? And it's like, no, I have no time.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I started wondering if maybe I should diversify out and get someone to take more classes for me. But then I thought, I don't know.
Well, you're going down a whole new road.
I'm going down a whole new road here.
Yeah.
That means staff. And I sort of thought, actually, you know what? All I want to do is, in fact, taking 3 classes a week plus my own creative work. I'm busy.
That's quite a lot.
And all my own house, and all my, my 3 children, just, although, they've almost left home, or 2 of them have, I feel as though there's still the household life that still goes in.
Yeah.
Or still goes on. And I can't really do more than 3 classes a week.
And when I first started 7 years ago with Creative Matters, I was actually teaching 9 workshops a week.
Yeah, well, that's
which
so
was
much.
crazy. And then my mentor said to me,
it's too
if
much.
you want to make this into a real business, you need to stop teaching. And I just thought, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I need to be teaching. But I did actually, if I wanted to make a real business of it, I had to step back and bring in educators, and train them. And then I love the work that I do with them, because that's still that sort of education people thing, but it's slightly removed from the actual children or from the class.
Yeah. So it just depends what you.
It's whether you want to go down that.
Yeah, it's where you see yourself fitting in.
That's
see,
right.
I'm just really happy to do my 3 classes a week, be in total control myself, and spend that time with the children. And a lot of the children have come for 4 or 5 years now.
It's amazing.
And I've seen them develop from, they've turned into amazing artists.
Yeah, and they're
artists,
so lucky.
and they're so creative.
And the community is lucky to have you doing that this kind of thing in the community. And is that in Mount Eden?
It's in Mount Eden. And I have times when I feel so proud of their art. I think I'm more proud, I'm more proud about it than what the kids are. I just think they give me so much joy, which is why I keep doing it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely thing to go alongside your own painting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like having my eggs in 2 baskets, and they sort of, they work nicely together.
It's perfect.
I started thinking maybe I should try and think of a third area to sort of get involved in. And so what I'm thinking moving forward is putting some of my work into print form, some of my own personal work into print form. So at the moment I'm researching how to do that and have an online shop attached to this website that I've just had made.
Great.
Yeah. So that's my goal for this year, to maybe print off or create some artworks that I can use to print off, and maybe people buy prints.
So in the past you've always just had original paintings?
Always originals.
Yeah. And so what's making you think about prints?
Well, a few people have mentioned it to me. Why aren't I doing it? And I thought, well, I just haven't had a chance to do it. And maybe people who can't afford an original piece of artwork might be able to afford a $500 print.
Which is nice.
And so it still gives people the opportunity to buy something of mine. But, not everybody has to have the original.
Yeah.
So I sort of thought, in the past, I've sort of thought, oh no, I'm never going to do prints. But I definitely think there's a market there for them. So that's my goal for this year, to get something like that up and running.
And I think
which will be my third thing in my basket.
Yeah, which is perfect.
Yeah.
And
don't ask me where I'm going from there, because I don't know.
Only 3 baskets at this stage.
Yeah, only 3 baskets.
But I mean, I do like the idea that you're making your work more accessible
to more people,
which has got to be a good thing. And I've got prints which I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't love them any less than originals. I mean, maybe I do, but I still enjoy them as much.
Absolutely. And they don't. And the good thing about a print, it doesn't have to be as big as the original either. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a market for that.
Yeah. I've got prints at home.
Yeah. And, the guest I had before you in episode 33, John Botton, he's print art, so he's a good guy to talk to.
Yes. Well, he's the man I'm going to be ringing next week. He doesn't know it yet.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's in Albany?
Yeah.
I think he's in Albany. Yes, someone recommended that I go and see him.
Oh, well, you can listen to his podcast.
I will. That's fantastic. In fact, 2 people have recommended that he's the best man for the job.
He's great, yeah.
So I will go and see him. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. And it's nice as an artist to have little goals, I think, to work towards, whether it's an exhibition or, a new project or a new sort of element to your practice, I think is just kind of keeps you going.
And I think what's so important with art is that you do keep developing and you do keep experimenting. And you do, just because something is a winner that you paint and you can sell a lot of it, I sort of have never been a person that would go down that track. I sort of always, for my own journey, I have to keep exploring new ideas. So I think my advice to new artists is just don't think you've got to find something that you've got to sell a lot of. It's going to be far more interesting for you if you just keep choosing new things and experimenting and growing. Don't get caught in what sells well.
Yeah. And
because
also,
I think a lot of artists do that.
yeah, which is, I understand why they would. It's a tricky one, isn't it? But, and I love the way as an artist you kind of work and, for me, I explore different techniques and materials and approaches, I guess.
Well, you've done jewellery and everything, haven't you? Yeah.
And they all kind of, looking back over the last 25 years, they actually do connect way more than I thought they did.
Yes. So when I went and did my 6 bowls in a day course, which I could thoroughly recommend, when I was painting the inside of the bowls, I realised, oh my God, this is how I paint on linen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Which is nice. And just giving yourself the freedom to kind of head off in another direction can be great. And it's still part of your body of work.
Yeah.
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 So just going back to the commercial side, we talked a little bit about your gallery, Art by the Sea, which you've been connected to for so long. How do you find that idea of selling your work and sort of marketing your work and, running your website and social media? Do you find that something that you like to do, or do you leave that to the gallery?
Well, as I mentioned briefly, I've just had my new website redesigned, and what I decided to do, because I had sort of like 20 years of art on my old one, and so I sort of thought it looked really needed a facelift. So I've now got this new art website. So one of my priorities was on the new website, it had to be a website that I could manage myself, because in the past I've been getting other people to load images on because it was quite complicated and out of date. So being in control of your website, I think, is really, really important. And so I can with my new website, and I can just edit and delete and add whenever I like. So that's really, really good. I'm not the best on Facebook. I really have to force myself to put something on Facebook. I would put an invitation to an exhibition opening on Facebook. Instagram, I prefer Instagram, although it's definitely an area that I should be. In fact, one of my New Year's resolutions was every week I need to load something on there. Have I done that? No, I haven't. So that would be, my marketing is probably one of my more weaker
Which it often is for artists.
I've been thinking about employing my daughter, to be honest, because she's always saying, "Mum, I'll put something on," and so I have. In fact, I need to reinstate that. Even if I need to pay her to do it, and then she will definitely do it. But I will do it too. But I'm not somebody who just keeps loading things on for the sake of it, because I think that's quite annoying when you get the same person putting something on every 2 days, and it's just another take on the same painting.
Yeah, and I find it's easy.
Less information is almost more information. Maybe
That's
people
right.
will look more closely if I only do it once a fortnight.
That's tricky. I mean, there's lots of schools of thought with that kind of thing. Talk to marketing gurus and they'll tell you to be on there every day. But it's tricky. I mean, I find it hard if you don't have anything new to share, then it's quite hard to kind of keep that momentum going.
Yeah, it is. And it all takes time. So by the time you go on to, if you want to load a couple of paintings on and then you want to talk about them, and, you really, you could spend an hour a week just upgrading your website and tweaking it. And so there's a time factor there too.
Yeah.
Art by the Sea are really good at marketing me. So that's really, really good. I've never really branched away from Art by the Sea Gallery because I've always painted originals and I'm doing other things as well. I can't really spread myself. I'd rather support one gallery and do it well than have 3 and be a bit flimsy.
Yeah, I can see that. And especially when you have such a deep connection with the people.
Yeah.
And the way they work.
I've got a huge loyalty to them. Huge loyalty.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? And do you ever do competitions or anything like that?
No. I've been told I should be doing them.
Yeah, well,
maybe that's my next year's resolution.
Yeah, I mean,
to
it's
get
interesting.
Into
It'd be good to just try it, I guess.
Yeah. Just
see what you think.
I should tap into them.
Quite a lot of the podcast guests do them.
Yes,
It's something
I know.
I'm not familiar with, but they really like that process too.
Yeah.
And I guess it gives you another thing to aim towards, another deadline, which can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Deadlines.
And do you have exhibitions mostly
Most years
once a year with Art by the Sea?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
And the gallery, they allocate the whole front of the gallery to that exhibition. So it's quite important to have that exhibition each year, because otherwise your work just doesn't get shown.
And that's a solo exhibition?
Pretty much. I've done a couple of joint ones. I did one with a wood sculptor. I asked if he'd do that with me. His name was John Allen. And that was really successful. That was fun. And because I had so much space and time to do it, he finds beautiful bits of Putakawa wood and he polishes them back, and then I took the inspiration of the wood, the driftwood, and put that into my paintings. So the exhibition worked really beautifully together.
Yeah, I love the sound of that.
It was really a really good exhibition. That was a joint one. I've done a couple, but I find with my work it's quite bold, and so I need to have someone who's got quite strong work to go with it. I can't put a little fiddly flowers with it,
Yeah.
It needs something with good form and structure.
And when you have an exhibition to work towards, how do you figure out, what you're painting, and do you come up with a theme, or does the gallery tell you a theme, or how do you work it?
I come up with a theme. But sometimes that theme spins off the last year, and that I get a bit of the last year's theme coming through into so I'm thinking about landscape this year. But I know that I have done landscape in the past, so I'll pull you start pulling bits of previous years' work into your current work without even realising it.
And do you kind of thread the paintings together with something like colour, or as well as theme, or?
What I do try and do is have a variety in the work. So I might have 2 or 3 abstract pieces, some realist pieces, and just kind of get a mix. There often just naturally becomes a bit of a theme coming through. Sometimes I have a very bright piece that is sort of a little bit of a wow factor piece, and that is a little bit deliberate. Something that pings.
That's great, and it's so good that you're having yearly exhibitions. I mean, that really just kind of keeps you going, doesn't it?
It just does it means I have to keep going.
Yeah, which is
I have
good.
to keep going because I can't disappoint, and I don't want to disappoint, and I love it. The key for exhibitions for me is to get an early start. Get an early start on it. There's nothing worse than being on the back foot.
Yeah.
And racing for time.
That's
even if
wonderful.
it takes a year to get that body of work together.
But it's just nice to have that end goal, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have goals.
And I'd love to know which artists actually inspire you.
Well, I love Virginia Fisher, her work. When I was doing my abstract work, I loved Jackson Pollock. I love Julian Smith, who's a graphic artist. I'm quite broad. Yeah, quite broad.
And
because it's not how I paint, I can still have a really good appreciation for the skill of what other people do.
And the different techniques.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it that you love most about what you do?
Probably the freedom. The freedom. I'm here now.
Yeah.
I'm here now. And I don't have to paint if I don't want to paint. And when I do paint, it's because I really want to paint. I can be my own person.
Yeah.
And I guess I've always thought I've been really blessed that my job is what I'm passionate about, and it's what's in my heart. So I don't know how many people can say that about their jobs.
Yeah, I think if you have that, you're very, very lucky.
Yeah, I think we're few and far between if we've got that.
And I think that's what we have to aim for, all of us,
Yeah.
or more of us.
And I actually think that, Mandy, more and more people are doing that. I think they're actually really stopping and thinking about what makes them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe COVID, that is the upside of this terrible pandemic and all the terrible things that are happening in the world. I think people are reassessing how they're living their lives.
And what's life about.
Yeah, what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess having your family around you and being able to paint and to be able to be expressive and not have time frames. And I've been quite blessed with my partner Daniel, who has never told me to do anything other than paint. He's been amazing. So thank you, Daniel. I just think I'm really grateful for being able to paint.
Happen. And you've probably taken a few risks along the way.
Making it happen because, you've got to make it happen.
Yeah. And you still have to be quite proactive and self-disciplined and all those things.
You do have to be self-disciplined.
Yeah.
You've got to have some sort of practicality about you too to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because you can paint away, but then you might not ever get it out there in the marketplace. But maybe for some people that's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't paint to sell.
Which is okay too. Yeah. Right. Well,
all right.
We need to kind of finish off, but I'd love to know, apart from your, new sort of current projects like your getting prints made and that kind of thing, what can you see sort of longer term as in the future for you?
It's a big question. Probably, I'm always going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep exploring. I imagine we'll probably move out of Auckland in a few years' time, where I will build a new studio and have an even bigger workspace. I'm just open. I'm just open to whatever comes my way. Maybe, you just don't know what's around the corner. So
no.
I just want to be open and flexible, and I want to share my art with people. Yeah.
And I imagine you'll keep painting till the day you die.
I'm going to keep painting. Might not be so big, the pieces, but I am going to keep painting and exploring, and I love it. Yeah. But what I have found with this podcast, it's been interesting because it wasn't until Mandy asked me to do this podcast that I actually stopped and thought about, my journey in the last 25 years has been huge to get to where I've got. And it's been a long journey. And I think having a website that was so out of date, it made me realize how that journey has come about. And so having this podcast has really made me think about that journey. It's been really good. So I think this opportunity has been super cool.
Oh, that's great.
So
thank you. And it's been so lovely to finally meet you. We have had a few aborted attempts with the COVID isolation situations. But it's lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for sharing your journey, which is really inspirational. And I love your work, and lovely to meet you.
And good luck with Creative Matters.
Thank you so
much.
It's
a fantastic concept.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Rosemary.